Well, here we are in Mudgee, where Blackpack are looking to get in touch with our inner maverick and goose. Indeed, we're in Mudgee for Wings, Wheels and Wine Show. It's held at the Mudgee Airfield. The event's organised by Mudgee Aero Club in conjunction with Paul Bennett's Air Shows. It brings together exotic cars, bikes and aircraft, and wine. In fact, by including wine, Mudgee throws a healthy dose of mayo on the event and provides a point of difference from other similar shows both here and overseas. Really, it's a no-brainer. What doesn't go better with wine? Now, back in blog 3 of the Blackpack website, we gave a nod to our affinity with aircraft, and we've long seen them, along with bikes and cars, as the third deity that comprises the holy trinity of black. Hence, what a great place to run out our stall and introduce folk to some very cool flight-inspired designs being put out by Blackpack. Wings and wheels, planes and fast cars and bikes. What a pairing. It's like gin and tonic. It's like the Donald and Twitter, like a Gold Coast Commonwealth Games medal ceremony and the Australian national anthem. They just fit together. A natural association. And with respect to aviation and motorsport, well, it's a closer association than you may first think. Many ex-World War I and II pilots were early exponents of motorsports, and among these were some of the richest characters to stride planet Earth. A prime example of an early motor racing aviator is Tony Gaze, Australia's biggest unsung hero, an incredible bloke whose life reads like a far-fetched Hollywood plot. In World War II, he was a fighter pilot with the RAF. He fought with the likes of Douglas Bader whilst becoming an ace twice over and earning the DFC and 2 bars. At one point, he was shot down over France, injured. He evaded capture, returning to Britain via Spain with the help of the resistance. Returning to the fight in his Spitfire, on another occasion he shot down a V2 rocket. He also managed to get into a dogfight with some early German jet fighters. And yep, he shot at least one of them down, again in a propeller-driven Spitfire. He then became Australia's first Australian pilot to actually fly a jet fighter in the form of the RAF's Meteor Mark III. But post-war, he inspired the creation of Goodwood race circuit. He imported cutting-edge race cars to Australia and was a pioneer of the domestic race scene. And then, on the 22nd of June 1952, at the Belgian Grand Prix in Spa, he became Australia's first ever competitor in Formula 1. He counted amongst his friends the likes of Alberto Ascari and Sir Stirling Moss. He was an international sports car racer of repute and formed part of Australia's first ever entry into the Monte Carlo Rally. These days, the term legend gets thrown around like petty insults at an MKR dinner party. But this aviator racing driver was a dead set legend. The second Australian to drive Formula 1 and to date our most successful driver, well, that was this guy, Jack Brabham. And around the time that Tony Gaze was flying his Spits with such great effect, Jack Brabham was a 16-year-old engineering student at Cogra Technical College who raced these things. Yeah, Bella says. But he desperately wanted to be one of these, an RAAF pilot. Ultimately, he did serve in the RAAF, and in the closing stage of the war, he put his mechanical brilliance to good effect on mosquitoes and Beaufighters. Not only did many of the early racers have an association with flight, many of motorsport's most iconic venues trace a lineage back to early military and civilian airfields. For example, Silverstone, Goodwood, Brooklands, Castlecombe, Snetterton and Sebring in the United States. Anyone familiar with the show Top Gear may be interested and know that their track was based at Dunsfold Aerodrome, another ex-World War II airfield. Coincidentally, Dunsfold is also the home of the British Wings and Wheels Air and Motor Show, which is held in August of each year. Ferrari, perhaps the most famous brand in motorsport, bears a logo that is universally recognised, the prancing horse. And, as many will know, this logo was borrowed from Italy's most distinguished flying ace of World War I, Francesco Baracca. Baracca used to display the prancing horse on the fuselage of his fighters as a nod to his early days as a cavalry officer. Even the terminology between flight and motorsport has found synonyms with each other. You'll often hear the F1 pundits referring to F1 drivers as F1 pilots, and the area behind the steering wheel, well, that's described as the cockpit. Then there's the engineering synergies. As cars and bikes got faster and found the limits of mechanical grip, it was to aerodynamics associated with flight to which they turned for an answer. By inverting wings that created lift, the engineers were able to create downforce, and it's just got a whole lot crazier since then. Invariably, at the start of any prestigious motorsport event, you'll get a fly pass of one form or another. In fact, if you jump on the Blackpack Facebook site, you'll see a nice clip of an RAAF F18 running over Gardner Straight at the start of the 2017 MotoGP. Interestingly though, you don't get this association with an NRL or AFL Grand Final, for instance. Don't just take our word for it. What about these guys? All avid aviators. You might know some of them. Nigel Mansell, Richard Hammond, James May, Martin Brundle, Mick Doohan, Barry Sheen, Neil Crompton, Ralph Schumacher, Mark Webber, Nicky Lauda, just to name a few. And tragically, some such as Graham Hill and Colin McRae who paid the ultimate price for their love of flying. Hence, Blackpack seeks to embrace this tangible association, this shared kindred spirit of engineering, of speed, of daring, and yes, even tragedy and glamour. And we applaud the efforts of Wings and Wheels in highlighting and affirming this association. The Mudgee event showcased some fantastic aircraft, including a Mustang, Wirraway trainer, a Spitfire replica, and a flypast from a C-130 out of the Richmond Air Base. The stunt show featuring Paul Bennett and his Wolf Pitts Pro biplane, it was fantastic every time he took to the sky. The highlight was when Bennett teamed up with local FMX and Nitro Circus performer Steve Minnie in a jaw dropper. Basically, he put his plane between the ramps as Minnie did a flip over the aircraft. It's as good a stunt as you will see anywhere. On the ground, a number of car clubs and enthusiasts put together an impressive display of around 250 cars and bikes. And the wine, well, it seemed to work, judging by the relaxed, fun-loving vibe of the crowd. The setting of a relatively modest rural aerodrome, it provided the ideal backdrop for this event, adding to the old school contextual charm, helping to highlight the history of all that was on display. So, if you find yourself in and around Mudgee area around April 2020, be sure to check out Wings, Wheels and Wine. For now though, make sure you check out the Blackpack website for our blogs and latest designs and products. And we'd love it if you could jump on our Facebook page and throw us a like. So until next time, keep it pinned and thanks for watching.